Breaking news. Northern politicians come for the head of Peter Obi and other Igbo politicians over the call for the release of Nnamdi Kanu. Hear the news in details. Wonderful people of Biafra, lovers of freedom all over the world, you are welcome once again to Biafra Unite channel /television this very moment. Today's date is 13th of February 2025, and I have a very important information for every one of you listening to my voice right now from wherever you are all over the world. Biafrans and lovers of freedom, it don't happen. And I really want you to pay very good attention to this very news, because it's very, very important. I can assure you, my people, Northern politicians have finally spoken up. They have come for the head of Peter Obi and other Igbo Efulefus who have, pretentiously calling for the release of Nnamdi Kanu. You see, this is exactly what we say. What goes around comes around. If be rest assured, no yadanani. And then atuni okute, they quite aware, no kwalike, somehow daginisi. When these evil politicians were calling for the release of Nnamdi Kanu, we all know that they were fake. But those people that put them in the positions they are today, in the name of political elite in Southeast, they do not, some of them do not understand that they are calling for the release of Nnamdi Kanu in pretense. Even though they know that they are doing it in pretense, yet they don't want to hear that name, Nnamdi Kanu, attached to release. They don't want it. And Peter Obi is the number one name that they are mentioning, because in the political affairs in the zoo, they believe that Peter Obi is their number one obstacle politically. You understand? So without further ado, let us read the news in details. And as you can see on your screen, I will be reading from Sahara Reporters. According to their title, they said, Peter Obi, other Igbo leaders pleading for Nnamdi Kanu's unconditional release must be held as terrorist coalition of northern groups. Coalition of northern groups. Now, you see, the only name mentioned here is Peter Obi, and then they classify others as the so-called Igbo leaders. You understand? Igbo leaders pleading. Even when Nnamdi Kanu has said that nobody should beg anybody for his release because he committed no offense known to law. Yet, these imbecilic Futajalonians from the northern part of the zoo are using the same word, pleading. Now let me read. CNC, which is Coalition for Northern Group, further criticized Kanu's recent conduct in court. You see, they couldn't contend. In fact, they couldn't handle Nnamdi Kanu's agility. They couldn't handle Nnamdi Kanu's vibrancy. In fact, they are over the moon. Now, alleging that he insulted the prosecuting lawyer and undermined the judiciary's integrity. There is no integrity in the judiciary of the zoo. The whole world is aware of it. There is no integrity in the judiciary of the Zoological Republic. No integrity. Now they continued. The Coalition of Northern Groups, CNG, has strongly condemned calls for the release of Nnamdi Kanu, the detained leader of the indigenous people of Biafra, IPOB, while also warning political figures, particularly former presidential candidate Peter Obi, against advocating for Kanu's freedom. You see, they are there in the Northern Zoological Republic of Animal Kingdom telling an Igbo man what to do, because we are all answering the useless name called the zoo called Nigeria. You see that? Because of it. That is the reason why all these Goro eaters that can't even brush their teeth are there in Sokoto telling an Igbo man in Anambra what to do. Because we, the Igbo people, have completely disgraced ourselves. So why wouldn't they tell you what to do? Why? Why not? CNG, in a statement released on Thursday, which is today, by Jamilu Aliyu Charanchi, its national coordinator, accused IPOB and its arm wing, the Eastern Security Network (ESN), of violent attacks against security personnel, government institutions, and civilians. They cannot say anything without attaching civilians. I want to tell you the reason why they always attach civilians. Not that they have any interests of the Igbo people, whether you buy or you not buy, is none of their business. Even if all of us buy, they will enjoy, because that will enable them to come and occupy our land, which is their problem. Is to take over our land, that is their problem. So if all of us buy, God forbid, they will enjoy it more, they will celebrate. You understand? Is it not the reason why they are chasing people in Benue State, chasing people in Southern Kaduna, chasing people everywhere, even in the Sokoto, in Gobert, where they live today? They chase the houses and occupy the land. In the olden days, yes, they did. So if you buy, it's not a problem. So when you see them attaching these civilians, is to validate their claim of so-called terrorism. You understand? Is to validate their claim, nothing else. Because if they say, security personnel, the whole world is aware that when two persons are fighting a war, between those who are fighting, there must be casualties. Whether it is on the side of the so-called security personnel or on the side of the militia, there must be casualties. But the moment they attach civilians, it catches the eyes of the international community to validate their claim and the tagging of the then IPOB as a terrorist organization. That is the problem. Now, they said the group claimed that IPOB's activities have led to the buying of 175 security personnel and the destruction of police stations, Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC) offices, and other public infrastructure. Oh, okay. So, Northern coalition, Northern politicians. So you have the number of the so-called security personnel that have died in Biafra land. Oh, you have the number. So you know the amount. But you don't have the number of the innocent Biafrans, innocent citizens of Biafra, that your so-called security personnel, cum terrorists in uniform, have died in our land. You don't have the numbers. And you don't know, you don't want to mention it. Even when the Amnesty International made that publication, when they reported, even the number is incorrect, because the number of innocent youths that have been, mauled in cold blood by your security personnel in our land are far higher than the number that were published by the Amnesty International. Yet, you fought against it. You fought against Amnesty International for making that publication because you were embarrassed. So you don't know the amount of innocent youths that your security personnel have died in Biafra territory. You don't know. These are the kind of people that you want me to share the same, zoological Republic of Animal Kingdom with. No, have your zoo and let me have my Biafra. Now, they are there in Sokoto and Abuja telling you how many so-called security personnel that have died in Southeast, right? And police stations that have been destroyed. But they are not telling you how many zoological Republic of Animal Kingdom security personnel that have been died in the north because of the activities of Boko Haram, activities of ISWAP, activities of Al-Qaeda in Maghreb, activities, they are many, about 8 different terrorist organizations that they are all grooming in the northern part of the zoo. Then nobody should talk about that one. The press doesn't have any right to report it. No right whatsoever. They don't want to hear about it. That is the zoo for you. And for those who don't want to know, if you are a Biafran and they say anti-Chilege, the earlier you open your eyes, the better for you. I pity our people. CNG further criticized Kanu's recent conduct in court, alleging that he insulted the prosecuting lawyer and undermined the judiciary's integrity. The group maintained that his rhetoric incites violence and threatens national unity, calling on the federal government to ensure that he faces justice. How long will you call the so-called federal government to ensure that he faces justice while he has been there for going to 5 years? When is he going to face this justice? When? That's why you're doing kangaroo judgment everywhere, amending charges on a daily basis. You people are not even ashamed. You have become a mockery in the international community. The coalition also took aim at Peter Obi, accusing him of prioritizing ethnic interest by advocating for Kanu's release. CNG warned northern voters against supporting any politician aligning with IPOB, stating that such alliances disregard the suffering of Nigerians affected by the group's actions. You see, because of time, I may not have enough time to analyze this. There is a man called Bodejo, who happens to be the Mieti Allah, Kautahore president. He was accused of terrorism and, remanded in the prison for several months in the zoo. He was recently released, and there is no any northern group, elder, or politician that stood against the release of Bodejo. No, nobody at all. Even Igboho, who is doing the same thing that Nnamdi Kanu is doing, which is for fighting for his own people, for their freedom from the zoo, was released. No northern group stood against his release. You know why? People will tell you, because Nnamdi Kanu is an Igbo man. No. It also contributes, but it's not the main problem. You understand? The reason why Bodejo must be released without any northern or northerner standing against it is because Bodejo serves the interests of all northern politicians and, of course, political elite in the north, which is to eradicate other ethnic groups and allow Fulani to take over the entire land. That is it. That is number one. Then the reason why Igboho was released and nobody, stood against it is because Igboho accepted the offer given to him, which is to drop the agitation for Duduwa Nation. Forget the caricature they did in United Kingdom. Forget about that. I'm not insulting Igboho, but that is the reality. But Nnamdi Kanu has refused to give up. Even on my election, the same thing. The same thing, I'm telling you. Because of time, I may not be able to continue, but if I will go live, I will still tell you more about this. I have this here. Thank you, my people. To salo numuzi akaona apoto and make it go viral.